insight into the mind, the talent, and the physicality. Like, you see them on such a personal level on a day-to-day basis. What is the thing with her that is the difference maker, that's the differentiator that can put her into the stratosphere that she's earned?
Yeah, she's an unbelievable competitor, and I don't care what you're playing. Like, and she was a great soccer player, and she really,
I know, I've heard that.
Yeah, and she attributes a lot of her passing angles to learning that on the soccer field, and it's so true. Like, she is the best every time, three.
Pay attention to what Lisa Bluer just said there. She's an unbelievable competitor who has no fear of failure. That single sentence exposes the fundamental problem with the Indiana Fever's current coaching situation, because Stephanie White coaches the exact opposite way. She wants control. She wants a slow, methodical half-court game where she can manage every possession from the sideline. And that's why this pairing was doomed from the moment she signed that contract in November 2024.
Some of those unbelievable passes that other people be like, I might fail. There's none of that with her. And then she works her butt off, quite honestly.
Did you hear that? Caitlin Clark is not afraid of risk. She is not afraid to fail. Stephanie White's the complete opposite, y'all. This was doomed from the start. Stephanie White wants a slow game where she can control the game from the sideline. Caitlin Clark is up and down, up and down, up and down. Stephanie White don't even feel comfortable with that. You heard Lisa Bluter say, you gotta live with, she's gonna pull up.
There it is. You have to let Caitlin be Caitlin. Let her pull up from 30 feet. Let her thread passes that look impossible. Let her take risks, because the brilliance only comes out when you give her that freedom. Lisa Bluto understood this at Iowa, and the results speak for themselves. 2 national championship appearances, multiple Big Ten titles. Caitlin became the all-time leading scorer in college basketball history under Bluer's system. Now look at what happened when Stephanie White took over the Fever. She brought in veterans like Natasha Howard and Dana Bonner, who wanted their own touches. She slowed down the pace dramatically from what Christie Sides had established in the post-Olympic break run. The offense that had been averaging 92 points per game in August suddenly looked stagnant by the playoffs.
Thread the needle with some passes, but you have to let Caitlin be Caitlin in order for the greatness to come out, and you will reap the benefits as Lisa Bluter in Iowa did. It's that simple. But Stephanie White wants this slow, drag them out game, half court, let me control the game from the sideline like this is college. And that is not what Caitlin Clark is. And Lisa Bluter pretty much just explained, this thing was doomed from the start, y'all.
Honestly, I mean, the kid works. She's in the gym.
This is the critical part. Caitlin works her butt off. She's in the gym constantly. She takes care of her body. She's learned how to eat right and how to recover properly. But all of that work means nothing if the system doesn't allow her to play to her strengths, and that's exactly what happened in the 2024 playoffs against Connecticut. The Fever looked completely different from the team that had gone 12-4 after the Olympic break. Stephanie White's offense had Caitlin playing off the ball more. She was standing in corners. She was setting screens. Meanwhile, Kelsey Mitchell was trying to be the primary ball handler in crucial possessions. The same Kelsey Mitchell who had thrived as a catch-and-shoot weapon when Caitlin was running the show in August and September.
Coach, you're such a big proponent, which is why we love you, of team culture and chemistry. And like, how did you balance all that? And maybe I've heard stories of Caitlin being very engaged in that as well, like recognizing that, I've got to also shine some light on my teammates.
Yeah, and she didn't understand that at first. And that was one of the things we really had to work on, was because, and I don't blame her. She comes from a high school where she did everything. She came from an AAU program where she did everything. And now she's expected to come to a university and share the wealth.
When her light shines, it shines on all of us. That's the philosophy that built Iowa into a powerhouse, and we've seen it work in the WNBA, too. Lexi Hull went from being a marginal rotation player to a legitimate 3 and D starter once she embraced her role in Caitlin's system. Sophie Cunningham became a household name because of one playoff series where Caitlin found her repeatedly for open threes. But here's what makes Stephanie White's approach so frustrating. She came into Indiana talking about building a championship culture and establishing veteran leadership. It sounds good in theory, except the veterans she brought in wanted to play a completely different style than what had been working. Dana Bonner is 37 years old and has averaged 11 points per game over the past 3 seasons. Natasha Howard was talking about MVP campaigns before she'd played a single game with the team. That's not complimentary pieces, that's ego.
Mindset that's got to change a little bit. So we really worked hard on that, and we tried to explain to our players, listen, when her light shines, it shines on all of us, and we're all going to have more.
When her light shines, it shines on all of us. Ask Sophie Cunningham. Wasn't nobody checking for Sophie Cunningham prior to Caitlin Clark? Let's keep it real. Ask Lexi Hall. Wasn't nobody checking for Lexi Hall prior to Caitlin Clark? Okay? Listen, man, when you play the Caitlin Clark system, when you play your role as you're supposed to, the light is going to shine on you as well, and you are going to reap the benefits. You're going to shine. You're going to win. It's going to be electrifying and exciting. You just got to play your role. And that is the problem with Stephanie White and some of the people we brought in, is that it seems like they don't understand the role.
Listen to how Lisa Bluer built culture at Iowa. They read books together. They had team meetings every single week, diving into what made each player tick. They talked about how to hold teammates accountable and how to receive accountability. This wasn't some one-time seminar on the first day of training camp. This was daily, intentional culture building, and notice what she said about Caitlin's development. She didn't understand at first that she needed to share the wealth. She came from high school and AAU, where she did everything. So Bluer worked with her on that mindset shift, not by bringing in ball-dominant veterans who wanted their own stats, but by explaining how everyone benefits when the best player thrives. Now compare that to Stephanie White's approach. She's talked publicly about wanting to make the Fever less predictable, about needing more offensive options, about not wanting to be a one-player team, all of which sounds reasonable. Until you realize that the one player is averaging 19 points and 9 assists per game while shooting 42% from 3. Maybe being predictable with that player